Next thing, I need a motion to appoint Carla D. Ferguson as administrator to the estate of North W. Dean due to the current executors being deemed incapacitated.
I move.
Second. Sound yes?
Yes.
Next thing on the agenda, public comments. I know Steve would like to address the commission.
Thank you. I'm Steve Stewart, Director of External Affairs for Appalachian Power. And I was visited over here several months ago and gave you a little update on an announcement we have made to close 3 of our generating units in West Virginia. We have to close those by January 1 of 2015. And of course, we are an energy deficient company anyway, which means we have to purchase power from our sister companies, Ohio Power, Kentucky Power, other companies that AEP owns, to make up what we don't generate ourselves in the state. So I think one of the questions someone asked at that time was, how are you going to make up for the loss plus the deficiency you already had? And so I just thought I'd come back and tell you what our plan is to do that. And first of all, we just opened up a combined cycle gas plant in Dresden, Ohio, which Appalachian Power owns. It's about I think it's about a 580 megawatt plant, brand new, state of the art. That'll replace some of the generation that we were closing. The reason we're closing those is they're around 50 years old, and it really doesn't make sense to put $1 million scrubber on a plant that's 50 years old. So that's the reason for the decision. The other generation, we plan to purchase 2/3 of Unit 3 at the John Amos plant. We already own the other 2 units and 1/3 of Unit 3. So we'll purchase the rest of that unit, which is a fully scrubbed, environmental compliant plant. And then we'll purchase one of the plants at our Moundsville plant up in Marshall County. It's called the John Mitchell plant there. So that'll make up the difference with the plants we're closing. We'll replace that generation. Plus, it will give us the generation that we need to supply our customers. We won't have to go to the open market and purchase that power anymore. So, and those are coal-fired units. Should be compliant for the next 30 years. Anytime you guys have any questions, I'll be glad to come over and address any questions or concerns you may have.
And you do receive emails?
I do receive emails, and you guys have that. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience that's not on the agenda would like to speak at this time?
Yes, cell phone towers in the county, has anyone heard anything going on with that, any movement towards, getting, I know we used to talk about that, these meetings before. I just wondered if anyone in the commission has heard anything recently.
Well, from what I understand, and Doc Vance might be able to allude or elaborate more, is that right now, from the preliminary indication that we get from the carrier, is that there has to be a demand in the area, which to justify construction. And as of right now, it's the carriers that are putting out the towers for cell phone service. They don't, from what I understand, is that there's not enough demand to justify the expense. And that's the word right now. That's what I understand. Now, I may be wrong. I mean, I may have misinterpreted
I think
it
you're
some
right.
other way.
It even goes worse than that, is they won't even, we have existing towers that could accommodate carriers, and they won't put them on, the towers we do have. So, but now, I did address this, I addressed it twice with Senator Kirkendall. He's really, I think he's going to look at this from a different angle, or try it from his end to see if we can't get some of these carriers to look at it from the, as far as the way that we're approaching this from the safety aspect of it, and for emergency services. Is that even though you've got an emergency service tower, if you've got somebody that runs over a hill and has a cell phone and there's no service, it doesn't help them at all. So what I think he is going to try to push, and And I'll mention, this is one of the things that the governor and I talked about a week or so ago, was these particular things that we needed here. But I think we're going to work with Senator Kirkendall and Senator Stallings and see if we can't encourage or whatever we need to do to get someone to put service in. There's a couple of different areas in the county that we put in that will help a large majority of the people that travel through here and get into these blank areas. So I think we're going to look at identifying those areas that are dead, which they've already done, but basically look at things like where car accidents are happening at, all those type things that happen here, and use that as information to encourage these carriers to come in here and provide some service, even though, and a lot of them, I think, are looking at the fact that we have cell phones anyway, and we're paying for that service anyway, and they don't have to put ever how much it costs. I think Alan said at one time it might be $1 million or something to do that, but to me, there seems to be the way technology is and things of that nature, and I think with the position that the governor has taken and our southern representatives, we're in a lot better shape than we were as far as trying to get a cell tower coverage, but it's still not done yet. It's just going to take, just like yourself and all of us, telling these carriers that, we're always, in Lincoln County, we're always kind of on the end of that stick where we're not profitable for things like that other people enjoy. But this is not a luxury. This is a necessity that for safety's sake or for emergency services to these people that have access and things. And that's the way we're pushing it right now. We're looking at it from, trying to get people to look at it from that angle and say, you can do a whole lot of good in Lincoln County just by putting up two sites here in the county that would allow us to take care of Route 10 and maybe Upper Mud River or some areas in that area.
So you feel it is being worked in?
Well, I think all the help we can get, we need to do it, but we are actively addressing that problem. We have been, but like I say, I think with the way our government's set up right now, they may look a little more in southern West Virginia at things than they did before, and that would give us the window of opportunity maybe to get somebody in here for the reasons we're talking about, for people's safety's sake, and plus it's also in the emergencies we've seen with the Eureka or Derecho, whatever how you want to call it, and all the things that went on there. There's a necessity for being able to coordinate activities, and a lot of times you need cell phones to do that. So I know it's something that's really scary when you travel up and down Route 10 and can run over the hill and be trapped in a car, and if you had cell service, you could call somebody from there. But the way it is now, it just depends on how close you are to West Hamlin or how close you are to Chapmansville. So, but that is, I think, one of the things that I did talk with Governor Tomlin about was cell service in here and the use of working with our legislators to see if we can encourage carriers to come into the area.
David, it's not as dire as I thought.
One other thing I wanted to ask was on the school bond issue that's coming up. And I've seen in the paper where we're meeting at each of the schools to discuss this, but is there any type of rally plan to support this, either from the board side or the county government prior to the election, to maybe?
Not that I'm aware. That's one of the reasons I brought up, David, what we were talking about as far as engaging the political machine or whatever to help us with that, is that really, I think, to ensure that we'd have a good turnout for the positive votes on it, I think that'd be a good idea. Because a lot of people, I don't know how well attended the sessions are, but we need something to energize people and get them seeing how positive this thing can be for the kids. And I would think those that are in the political realm would really want to do that, would really want to get people to go get out and vote and things like that.
I would too, and we all seen what happened in Wayne County. And
Right,
we don't want to end up there.
We can't not do anything. If we don't do anything, I really fear that we may have problems getting this thing passed. I really think that it's going to take a coordinated effort, and I think a rally's fine, and I'd be glad to participate in it, and I know a lot of other people would too. I'm sure all these guys would. because we really need those people that care about the kids to understand that this is something we need done, and not just let it, not have any reason not to go vote for it.
Well, I just didn't know how appropriate it would be.
Well, I
Well,
tell you,
school.
I really think
You know,
that,
I don't know.
yeah, I think, you know, in the long run, we all have to do what we have to do to get this thing taken care of, you know, and I really think that, I'm sure there's a lot of people who would like to come to get together and talk about the future of the kids and things like that. And, you know, I'm sure any of us would be glad to be involved and contact the people we know, but this is something that we discussed a little bit, not the rally, but as far as engaging the political machinery to make sure that they get people out that want to vote for this. I think it sounds like a good idea to me. I mean, I think we need to get people energized and enthusiastic about it, because it's a really important thing for these kids. I mean, what little bit more it would cost, we would get so much more as far as having happy, safe kids learning well. So, and after the meeting, if you want to discuss it, I'll be glad to discuss that with you as far as maybe setting something like that up. Do y'all have anything?
I don't
All
think
the
I'm not,
support you can get.
I would say, if we could figure out some way to get the school people, to get the school kids involved, I mean, that's who it's for, and they need to realize that here's an opportunity, even if you're a senior, here's still something that they can do to help their county before they leave our school system. But it seems like, of course, you know, my grandkids, they have no idea what's going on as far as this bond is concerned, what it means and all that. So it just seems like maybe, when I was talking, that maybe if the school system, I know it's a short notice yet, we still got a month, but if we could get the schools people to maybe take it seriously and do something in each of their classrooms, if these kids could do a project, an art project or something that would focus on that, and they end up taking it home and get the message there, because somewhere it's just too quiet right now as far as I'm concerned.
No disrespect intended toward the Lincoln Journal, but people on our end of the county don't take the Journal, and they don't know anything about the school levy. The first time that a lot of them heard anything about it was when we posted that we had early elections scheduled at the McCorkle Community Center. So until the word gets out what it's all about, they're not going to vote for something that they don't know anything about.
The school system, again, is a great communicator if they could just utilize their, without being too political, but
Right, now,
utilize
we just
their
asked
soldiers
Judy if
out
we could
there.
get some information to where we could put it out at the center, so when people come in, they would have access to it.
Because I think each one of the areas needs to look at what they benefit from this bond issue. I mean, that's something I don't think people know. I mean, the particular things that they're gonna gather. And like Mr. McCann said, you know, a lot of that can be taken care of in the school classroom, is saying this is what the bond will, well, you don't have to say, you know, you have to do this, you have to do that, but you say, this is what this area, this particular group of kids here is gonna benefit by the bond being passed. And I think that would touch home a lot quicker than a lot of the other things as far as an advertisement or things of that nature. If they know what their child is gonna, the advantage it's gonna give their child, then they're a lot more likely to go out and vote, I think, than if they don't really know. And I think in a lot of cases, you know, it may be, you know, you don't get Lincoln Journal in particular areas, you don't read this or that, but I think at every school they can make an effort to let, and all it would be is informing the kids what they were getting from the bond issue and letting their parents know what it is. And that seems to be, you know, the quickest route to the voter would be to have their children let them know what they were going to gain by it.
And that is happening at the meetings at each school, Mr. President. You have at the West Hamlin meeting last week, you had that point being made that not only were the kids and the parents being told West Hamlin is getting 4 extra rooms, but you are the same kids that would then feed into a brand new Guyan Valley Middle School. And that point was being made that stretch down the rivers where there should be an upwell of support, you would think. The problem is, as I see it, you only had 30 people at the West Hamlin meeting. 6 of those were from the central office, 2 or 3 were board members, 1 was me and my daughter. That's almost half the room, and the rest were employees, teachers, maybe 2 members of the public. And it was the same at Hamlin 4 nights earlier. I don't know what it's like at Guyan Valley tonight.
Guyan Valley.
And it was Duval.
It was at Duval.
Was it a good crowd at Duval? Or?
I was not.
Okay, I wasn't there either,
I was
so-
wrestling.
I don't know. But people don't seem, the voters aren't coming out to these meetings maybe as many as should.
Well, that's what scares you a little bit, is because they don't really know what they're losing by not participating, but it's kind of that time of the year, and everybody's tired of voting anyway, because we've had 14 different elections and things of that nature, so we're not quite that many, but it seems that many. And I think that's what we've got to overcome. We've got to overcome that tiredness from having to get out and do that. And, of all the times that you guys have voted, and we've voted in the last few years, there's none more important than this one coming up. And I know we say that with every election, but we're not talking about me getting elected or KK getting elected. We're talking about what's right for these kids. What can we do to help them get this thing passed? Because if they could vote, I'm sure they would vote for it, because they are directly affected by it. But that's where us people that are all old enough to vote should do it for them. We should all, if we don't do it for ourselves, we should do it for one of those children. So it's just the way we've got to make it personal with our people in the county, and once it gets personal, then they'll take care of it, I think. Yeah.
Do we know if the school is using the call-out system? Because we have a lot of really good resources to bring to bear on this, that with one touch of a button, a phone call goes out to every single parent, guardian that has a child in the school or in the whole entire county. It could be done countywide to let people know that these things are going on. And for those people who don't have children, if a person lives in this county and thinks that they live independently of everyone else, they need to look up the term 6 degrees of separation, because you don't live independently of everyone else. And we all know, even if you don't have a child in the school, if you have a home in a neighborhood, go out, paint the fence, mow your grass, take care of it, make it look nice, the property values go up. So even if you don't have a child in the school, improving the school system improves the overall face of the county, which will in turn improve what you have as property or anything else. So no one in this county lives independently of anyone else. Everything I do affects every single person in this county. And, no one lives in a microcosm by themselves. So, and the quicker we all figure that out, all of us, not just 10% of us, the quicker we can get people to realize that through benefits that they can see, the quicker I think a lot of these things are going to turn around. But again, the school call-out system, I think, and I don't know, I've not gotten a call that I'm aware of on my phone to tell me that, I knew they were coming up, but I don't know if...
I think there was a reluctance by the board, by the central office, to be seen spending any kind of money on it. We suggested they advertise all the meetings, but the response we got was they couldn't, because they couldn't spend money they couldn't spend money that would be interpreted as promoting the bond.
Isn't that
Well, and I
system
think
paid
that's,
for?
well,
I guess.
there is, I know, Charles been superintendent, and we've sat on the school board, and I know that is some concern on those parts, because they're basically not supposed to take a side.
Yeah.
I think, is that not?
Well, they can't spend money.
Yeah.
They can't spend money for a particular result. But I think that's everything they can do to be positive about it, they should be positive about it. And then, of course, there's other organizations that can look at it from the other angle and look at how to best get that word out and things of that nature. But I do know that it will be a reluctance on anybody's part not to choose sides, which is really kind of a weird way to do things. But it kind of veers from what common sense would tell us we should do. So, but I do know that's a concern. I do know they're under obligation not to do that by law, not to spend money for these particular type things. So, but that's where, like I say, I think the rest of us needs to pick up where we can and help where they can.
That's where, like you're talking about, the political group can do that. They could raise money and buy ads or robocalls or whatever. So.
And there is a group meeting, as far as I know, a pro-bond group that has had at least 2 meetings. They met 2 weeks ago and they met again 2 nights ago, I think. I haven't been to the meetings, but Mr. John Smith is part of it, and others. So they have been, and they have plans to promote.
Who's this?
John Smith.
John Smith from up in Mud River, And there's various people from around the county who are involved in
Well, that's really where we probably ought to plug in
Absolutely.
things, and, because they've already started and things, and so that's the first place we'll probably go with that.
Well, yeah. I'll talk to you later.
If nothing else, you get to call into every family and tell them what's their kids are going to benefit from and things like that. And I think that's probably all it's going to take, because people are going to vote against it, probably going to get out and vote anyway, so hopefully.
Okay, is anyone else from the public that wasn't on the agenda that would like to speak at this time?
April.
I just wanted to just briefly talk about the things that I handed out here on the farm to school. And I've been talking across the county pretty much about this because I think it's going to be one of those programs that could really make a significant impact here in the county, not just economically, but also nutritionally as well for the kids. And, you know, I've put out a list of locations that we're going to have workshop meetings, and more or less what that's going to be is to bring people out to just ask the questions. Generally, it's how much money can I really make with this? Well, you can really make a whole lot. And this is going to be a time for people to come out and talk about that with us. This program is actually a program that's being promoted by the Department of Education through the Child Nutrition Office. And what they have gone for is the nutritional aspect of having quality local foods in the schools. They're coming around to realizing that a tomato picked yesterday is much better than one picked 2 weeks ago. And certainly economically, the one picked in Lincoln County is going to be better for us than the one picked in California. But what they were having difficulty with was, you know, they know they want the food, now where are we going to get it? And the average age of the farmer in Lincoln County is about 57 years old. So, you know, we don't have a lot of those people left that are actually conducting business-oriented farming, you know, a business that is a farm, running it as a business. And so they came to us to try and help them find producers. And so in that collaboration, what we are doing is not only are we trying to identify those people in the county that have these skills and are conducting these kinds of activities that we could tap into very quickly, because we don't want this door to close on this $18 million, and that's just regionally. It's $93 million statewide, and that was a number given to me by the procurement officer from the Department of Ed, the State Department of Education. We need to quickly access what's going on here, and then work toward growing other producers that will step in and be able to earn a living, and I think a very good living off of this. And, you know, I'm currently looking at farming models that are very intensive, that will meet the needs of the people of this county. There'll be hopefully models that will be very short and little on the startup costs, so, you know, it won't be so intimidating and overwhelming to look at trying to do. Looking at ways to get equipment through our office that people can come if they're participating in the program and utilize that equipment that you might only use 2 or 3 times a year. You know, that can be expensive. The models I'm looking at will not use any kind of tractors or heavy equipment other than a tiller. And the models are demonstrating in other areas that they're capable of making upwards of $130,000 to $150,000 annual gross on an acre or less. So, and I know that sounds like a wild number, but boy, I sure would like to see if it's really a reality and try to put that to work here in the county. So, you know, I'd just like to see, you know, a lot of people come out for these activities at these locations to just come out and ask those questions. And I want them to ask the hard questions, because I want to give them the answers to the hard questions, because I don't want to ask anybody in this county to try and step up and get involved into a business proposition of any kind that I'm not confident that we could see them be successful with it. I want to see people be successful. And I think this is certainly going to be one of those opportunities for that. And these aren't just limited to, say, Ranger citizens at Ranger Elementary. These are open to anybody. If somebody, you know, in Harts wants to come up to the one at Duval, they're more than welcome to do that. And I have no idea how many people are going to show up, but I'll be there, and I'll be there until the last person has their questions answered to their satisfaction, and certainly want to see us start a list to work with people that want to participate, to include my vision of seeing greenhouses all over this county, 16, 20 of them, that'd be great. And that would employ, on my estimation, anywhere between 70 and 80 people in full-time jobs. And those would hopefully, in my very limited scope at this point that I've looked at, would be self-sustaining, if not profitable, in the long run. And we would probably not be able to still meet the food demand in just this region. And I talked with Katie about a fella in Berkeley Springs, started 6 years ago with nothing. And this past year has put in 14 greenhouses in Berkeley Springs, and his annual gross income was $700,000. Now, mind you, 6 years ago he started from scratch. So I don't think that would be too terribly difficult for us, and he has offered to let us come up and look at whatever he has and learn about how he's done it so that we can replicate that here if we'd like. So I really feel good about this, and I really think it's going to be something that's going to really put a lot of people in a position to do the kind of work that I know we can do here. So I hope people can encourage other people to come out to this and attend these meetings.
I know